It's just an unbelievable, breathtakingly large budget that has this huge deficit that's created. I listened to the president declare to us in his State of the Union address, and also when he spoke to Republicans in Baltimore, that he inherited a budget of 1.3 or 1.4 trillion dollars. And that all came from Bush, and it was projected to be $8 trillion by the end of 10 years, I presume. And I listened to that. I have never heard that number before. So when you roll it back and look at it, it really was about an $800 billion deficit, which was the highest out of the Bush years. His deficits, I believe, under the Bush administration, averaged about $140 billion. This president is rolling this thing out with about a 1.56 trillion dollar deficit. And it projects out to add $14 trillion of debt on this country, on our children and our grandchildren. And a lot of those babies are not yet born. So when you think about what it means, if we go forward with an Obama budget, and it's around $41,000 or $42,000 in liability that every baby born today owes, that's the debt we hand them. I guess their access to American citizenship becomes a mortgage of $42,000. And if we pass the Obama budget, by the time those kids are in 5th grade, they'll be looking at an $84,000 debt instead of a $42,000 debt. That's what this is. And to grow government this way and have him position himself, so he's about, we're really going to freeze discretionary spending and we're going to start next year, after the election next year. It's just a false argument by a man who has said to us at the retreat in Baltimore, let's see, he said, first of all, most of the negotiations on health care did take place on C-SPAN. I don't know anybody that saw those negotiations on C-SPAN. And he said, I am not an ideologue. I am not. I am a centrist. And now he's a fiscally responsible, not quite yet conservative, non-ideological centrist who claims that the health care bill was negotiated in broad daylight in front of C-SPAN. I don't take any of this seriously anymore. And what it is, it's a push to spend money. It's a push to nationalize and socialize this country. And it walks completely away from the Adam Smith principles of free enterprise. We've seen this president swallowing up the private sector and growing the government sector over and over again. He has said that Franklin Delano Roosevelt's problem was he didn't spend enough money. I believe the president means it when he tells us that. He will not make that mistake. He will spend all the money he can spend without regard to where the money comes from. I don't know how they're going to cut taxes if they are continuing to increase spending. And the increase of spending, and then actually I want them to point to those places where they would cut taxes. But they're the people that are pushing federal mandates. They're the ones that are pushing federal spending. And to argue that they're now fiscally responsible, let me just take you to the Blue Dogs, for example. The 53, I think that's their number, most responsible Democrats in Congress who stood on the floor of the House of Representatives during Republican majorities and relentlessly criticized Republicans because they wanted balanced budgets. Now, Blue Dogs said, we'll spend less money than the Nancy Pelosi Democrats, and then we'll increase taxes to bring about a balanced budget. So they always wanted to increase taxes significantly and spend more money than Republicans would spend, but balance the budget. But what's odd is, since Democrats took the majority in 2006 and Nancy Pelosi was sworn in January of 2007, the Blue Dogs' activity has diminished substantially to the point where we're just a little past Groundhog Day. And so it occurs to me that when President Obama was elected, those formerly fiscally responsible balancers of the budget, Blue Dogs, must really actually be the groundhogs who came out of their hole, saw their shadow, went back in the hole again, and we're not going to see them again under this presidency. I've been concerned about this for a long time. This is just playing out, getting closer to their end game on the expiration of the Bush tax cuts. The Bush tax cuts that were implemented and signed into law on May 28th of 2003 really did stimulate this economy. And it's what bridged us through from 2003 and helped bring us out of the attack on the Twin Towers, the bursting of the dot-com bubble, and all the costs of going to war in this war on terror. They helped this economy stimulate our way through that. But where we are today, again, I'll roll back to Democrats winning the majority. Remember, they constantly argued that if you just give us the gavels in the House of Representatives, all spending has to start in the House of Representatives by the Constitution. So therefore, they will control the spending. Well, by their definition, they've controlled the spending since the end of 2006. And yet, this spending has gone completely out of control. And part of their strategy was to let the Bush tax cuts expire. In fact, I watched Charlie Rangel as heir apparent to the chairman, to become chairman of the Ways and Means Committee. He went on talk show after talk show from November of 06 until about February of 07. They always ask him, which one of the Bush tax cuts do you like? Which ones would you keep? Which ones would you repeal? Charlie never gave a straight answer in all that time. But by process of elimination, thanks to the media, we concluded, the American investing public concluded that Charlie Rangel had not a single Bush tax cut that he would want to retain. The investors understood that capital was going to get more expensive, the cost of business was going to get more expensive because taxes were going to go up at these expiration dates, and you saw an immediate and dramatic drop in industrial investment in the United States that took place in November, December, January, and February of that period of time, 06 to 07. That is the first indicator of the economic crisis that we are in, and that's part of the cause of it.